Hi, everybody. Good to see everybody. Okay, I guess I should start.
Yes.
Okay. So the topic today is strengthening your connection to light, meaning strengthening your connection to divine energy, to positive energy, to the inspiration, God, Holy Spirit, Goddess, whatever you want to call it, but whatever elevates us to a higher consciousness, whatever gives us hope, faith, the energy to go through our life in a very positive way. We all need that connection. We can't just kind of flounder and have no connection at all, no matter what words we're using to describe it. We all sort of need something to keep us ticking. And in this particular energy of this year, there have been a lot of curveballs nationally, internationally, probably in your personal life too. There's an energy on the planet now, which is, kind of intense, if you haven't noticed. It can make all of us feel pretty unsettled. It can change every day. We might have a feeling of stability, and the next day we don't, because things change on an international level, on a national level, maybe in our family. It's a time where there have been some sudden changes in our personal life, maybe in our health. So, where do we get the skills? Where do we get the spiritual direction to deal with that? I know there's always the feeling of like, okay, meditate more, pray more. But I think people get a little burned out. I know, I know I do. Um, but I think that's coming from sort of an old Western idea of how spirituality works. For example, let's say you do everything you're supposed to do. You meditate, you're a good person, you try to help everybody. And even then, stuff goes wrong in your life, stuff goes wrong down the street, in your family, in your country. And you're like, wait a minute, I thought God was handling this, or is there a God? So I think we kind of get into two places with the idea of God or goddess, whatever we're using in our head. One idea is God has let us down. It's like, wait a minute, how could God let this happen in this world? How could God let this happen to me? Personally, how is this happening to me? We all have those thoughts. So we kind of blame God. We think, hey, buddy, you're supposed to be the supreme being here. The other place we can go to is like, oh my God, things aren't working out for me. I'm confused. I feel horrible. What did I do? So now we're thinking of God as somebody who's like a judge, like a parent of like, oh my God, I didn't do good enough. No matter how good I thought I was doing, I screwed up and maybe I deserve this somehow. So I've noticed a lot of my clients and students can be wrestling with either one of these concepts. But I invite you all to think about it in a slightly different way, which is this is our human way of thinking of God or spirit. We automatically make it a person and we think of it as a parent. And we think, okay, I'm the kid. If I do well, I'll get rewarded. If I do badly, I'll get punished. And we kind of just get stuck there. And then the next place we go is, wait a minute, I'm not seeing the rewards or I don't deserve the punishment. So I'm going to tune out to this whole spirituality thing altogether. And I see a lot of people kind of wrestling with that. But if we look to the Asian concept of spirituality, if we look at the deep traditions of Japan, China, India, we see the concept of spirituality, divine energy, maybe even creative energy is slightly different in that it is an energy. It's not so much a person that could step in and say, wow, you really screwed up here. It's more like I don't know if any of you have ever done any sailing on a sailboat. And if you have, you either sail against the wind or you sail with the wind. And if you're a good sailor, you can sail against the wind, but you have to kind of know what you're doing. Otherwise, the boat tips over. It's not good. So I kind of have come to see chi or life force energy as more an energy, as more a force. The more sophisticated we are in knowing what to do with it, the more our little boat is going to sail effortlessly, quickly. The more we don't know how to deal with it, it's still a force. That means life force energy can be pretty intense. So if we're sailing against it, if we're capsizing, whoa, But I hesitate to think of it as a punishment. I think of it more as, let's just understand how it works. I was lucky enough to spend some time with the Navajos when I was a teenager on an archaeology camp, going out to isolated hogans in the middle of the desert, meeting them and talking to them. They had this saying, they said, if a child sees enough beauty when in childhood, they'll never have to get angry as an adult. Now think about that. It doesn't mean like we're all just like medicated, so we'll never have anything that goes wrong, because we do. We're human. We're in a world where apparently we're learning through conflict. We're learning through opposition. We're learning through difficulty. That, doesn't seem to change. I hate to break it to you. But the Navajo idea is put your mind on the beauty, put your mind on the balance, put your mind on the deeper spirituality, whatever you want to call it, the feeling inside of you, the feeling of nature, the feeling of balance that flows through us. The more you put your attention on that, everything else kind of fades. Everything negative fades. It's kind of what you put your attention on. They talk about life as walking the rainbow trail. Now, if you've ever been to a Navajo Hogan, we would consider them to be poor. So it wouldn't be like, big success formula here. They have lived traditionally, not so much anymore, but they have dealt with, getting their water from a well, raising their own animals, growing their own crops. They live very simply, but one thing I learned from the Navajo was they always try to get their Hogan, especially the door of the Hogan, to look out on a place of great physical beauty. And the reason they do that is they want to get up in the morning and see the beauty. They want to connect with the beauty. They want to feel it in their body and their heart. That's their connection to spirit. What I learned from being with the Navajo was to do that, to put that first and everything else second. I learned as I got more and more involved in this work that negativity itself was a barrier to spirit. So in other words, anytime we get really lost in anger, fear, hatred, despair, depression, we may think of it as very real and very serious, which I'm sure it is. However, it's still our biggest block to the positive energy. It's still our biggest block to our chi or our life force energy. The Navajo sort of taught me to see negativity more as an illusion. That takes quite a jump when we think of certain things that might happen in our life or our world that seem so negative. But then you think about anybody who's sort of an abuser that you might have known, or an abusive situation, a boss in a company, a leader of a country, anybody that sort of makes you afraid, makes you angry, makes you hate. What are they doing? They're dragging you down into negative feelings. They're dragging you down into a place where you lose your harmony, you lose your balance. You might say that the best way to control our life and our inner self is to recognize negativity for what it is, which is an illusion, and try our very best to walk around it, circumvent it. Whenever it comes up, yes, it's very believable. You know, I feel fear, anger, hatred. I mean, trust me, I'm no saint myself, but I've also learned how to sort of step around it. And what I want to teach in meditation today is just a few ways for us to shift our view, shift our frequency, so that we start to see these negative emotions as not so monumental, not so overpowering, but get a few ways of getting past them. And in this way, we start working with chi, we start working with the divine energy as a partner. It's kind of like those old radios, like you can stay on one station or you can turn the dial to another station and suddenly it's a whole different message coming out. That's what we want to be able to do with our bodies and our minds. We want to be able to just turn that station to that station and have that control. The exercises that I'm going to lead us on in meditation, first of all, are going to be connecting with that higher frequency in our body. And then it's going to be isolating any negative feeling you might be feeling right now today. Sort of like, okay, what do I do with a negative feeling? What do I do if I feel overwhelmed? What is a good method of dealing with it and at least dispersing it or making it less important to me? Now, you might say to yourself, wow, you know, this could be crazy. I don't want to just blind myself to reality. I have, you know, hey, I've got problems here. You know, I've got to deal with them. I can't just forget about real life and just go all airy-fairy. So I'm not exactly suggesting that. I'm just saying tone it down. Yes, your active mind is always going to have to solve your problems. You have to deal with the real world, no question. But as we bring up another part of you, your soul part, your heart, this divine energy, it can start flowing through you at a much higher volume and frequency and carry you through some of these problems you thought were insolvable. In fact, the more you connect with it, the more it helps you. It's sort of cumulative. I found that in my own life. I've certainly had challenges where I thought it wasn't going to work, but every time I turn back towards it, it does work. And it gets more and more, like the Navajos would say, the more attention you put on it, the more it works for you. The more you can inhabit a quiet place of positivity, harmony, and even success, where you can go to yourself and feel good about yourself. That's really all we want. It's not so much like a huge fortune or success like other people would see it. I think most people just want that quiet place within themselves where they feel good about themselves and good about life, and where they can also get back to that whenever they really want to. I think that's important for all of us. So if we're all ready to meditate, I'm just going to guide us on a meditation here. I'm going to point out certain things as we meditate that I recommend for this whole aspect of centering in ourselves and connecting to this divine energy. But let's start out with the breath. Breathe deeply. One reason that most of the meditation practices ask you to empty your mind is simply because we get a lot of crazy thoughts. So it's a lot better to just try to breathe and just think about the breath. Don't think about anything else. Take that breath all the way down through your body, all the way down to your toes. Feel the breath. Connect with the breath. Allow the breath. As you breathe, feel the different parts of your body. a lot of times we try to deny our emotions, we try to deny the pain in our body. But in this meditation, we want to feel everything, even if it sounds crazy. We want to bring the breath in and just feel how we're feeling right now today. Now I want you to pull your breath in all the way down into your body, and I want you to hold your breath for a moment. So we breathe in, we hold the breath. Let it out. Let's do that again. Take the breath in, pull it in and hold the breath. Breathe it out. Let's do that one more time. Take in a big, big breath. Hold it as long as you can comfortably. Let it out. Now we're going to rotate our head on our neck, letting our head go, relax, stretching our neck, relaxing our neck. We usually hold a lot of tension in the back of our neck. Just roll over it very gently. Don't do anything to strain yourself. If it hurts, just be very gentle. Just relaxing the neck, the head. Now let's go the opposite direction. Again, just relaxing, moving your head around and around and around. Just stretching out the muscles very gently. Now we're going to do the opposite thing. We're going to squeeze our shoulders up right under our ears. Now we're going to be as tense as we possibly can be. Now let your shoulders drop. Let's do that one more time. We're squeezing our shoulders almost right up to the tips of our ears. Tighter, tighter, tighter. Now let them drop. Now we're stretching our arms. See if you can touch the ceiling. We feel the stretch all the way through the lower back, the upper back, the shoulders, the arms, the fingers. Feel that huge stretch. Your whole body is stretching. And now your hands are going to float down, but very slowly. Very gently. It's as if the air is snow and you can't push your hands down through the snow because there's no weight in your hands. There's no weight in your arms. There's no weight in your whole body. You're just floating. Every part of your body that felt weight or blocked is now just floating. It feels so light. So free. Now we're going to, if you're sitting down, we want to rotate on your hips. We lean forward, we lean to the side, we lean to the back, and we lean to the side again. We're going around in a big circle, just like we did with your neck, and the main goal is just to stretch, just to relax. We're just relaxing your lower back, just letting it feel warm, relaxed, comfortable, just going around in a big circle. Now we're going in the opposite direction. Same thing again. Stretching the back, leaning forward, leaning to the side, leaning to the back, leaning to the side. If there's any places in your back that hurt, go over it very tenderly, very gently. Do as much as you can. Just imagine a warmth in your back. Your whole back feels warm. Now we're going to sit up straight. This is going to be an easy thing to do. All you have to do is feel your body. What does your body feel like right now? I want you to imagine a bright, bright light coming down through the top of your head. It's filling your body. We're calling in this light in the name of God, Creator, Great Spirit, Goddess, whatever you feel comfortable with as the Divine Spirit, the Holy Spirit. That's the most positive energy you can imagine and the safest. It's flooding your body. If you have a hard time with the image of light, imagine you're standing under a waterfall that's pelting water on you, or you're standing on top of a hill and the wind is blowing right through you so powerfully. It rushes down your legs, it rushes down your arms, it swirls around your heart. It's a light, it's effervescent, it's just like champagne. You can barely feel it, but it's so powerful, it's always moving. And now it rushes out of your heart and it creates an energy field all around you that protects you. So let's take a moment and really see how you would perceive this energy. If it's hard for you to imagine or perceive, just stay quiet with it for a moment. If it's hard to imagine that you have any energy at all, put your hand on your pulse. You're full of energy, you just don't know it. One way to protect yourself every day before you go out, before you talk to someone that seems difficult, before you go in public or to work, is to do this simple exercise. Fill up with light and imagine this energy field all around you, because it is real. When light hits that energy field, it's our aura. It's always there to protect us. We can actually add energy to it. As we flow with energy, we can imagine the energy going to this energy field. If we take a moment to focus on that, and also a moment to call in our guides and our angels. Before we do anything in life, we're going to get that little extra bit of protection. And I really, really recommend it. Whatever you feel comfortable with, if you don't feel comfortable with the idea of angels, call in Holy Spirit, call in divine energy, call in the universe, call in light, whatever it is the most positive idea for you. And really, that's what we're going after as we strengthen our connection to the light. It's all about the connection. So you notice everything we've been doing is connecting to an energy. That's where we're going to find this higher frequency that protects us and guides us. Now I want you to go back into your heart. Just imagine your heart is full of warmth, full of golden light. I want you to think back over the last couple of weeks and think about the moments of happiness and joy that you had. because these moments, this happiness, this joy, increases your chi, your life force energy. This is your power. This creates that wind that blows you forward. Now you might say, wow, I was really miserable this week. Okay, well then just find one little thing, like a really great sandwich or a great cup of tea or a book you were reading or a TV show, walking your dog, a moment where you saw a sunset. There's going to be a moment where you just felt peace. You just felt harmony. You felt beauty. You weren't thinking. I want you to go back to that moment or moments for a moment and just see how they feel in your heart. Now, how's that feeling? Remember, in this coming week, if you feel upset by some news or something going on with a family member, somebody that you love, even for yourself, you can take that moment. It may seem stupid if something bad is happening, but start thinking of it as energy. Start thinking, okay, I feel bad right now. I feel not so good, but I'm going to think of these moments of happiness and peace. And I'm going to at least make that energy just as strong in my body, in my consciousness. And the reason I'm doing that is I don't want negativity itself to be a stumbling block. I don't want to be that have the reason that keeps me from my better life. I don't want to just get stuck in negativity and never get out. We call it a spiritual practice. Well, we've got to practice. And it may seem like these are dumb little things, but put together, they really work. They really start putting you in a much better frame of mind, a much better feeling, and you can translate that feeling into every part of your life. It will mysteriously go in front of you and start making things a lot more easy. So let's breathe again. We're still feeling that wonderful warm feeling in our heart. And now here's another way of giving ourselves a little bit more energy. I want you to put your hands out in front of your heart, palms up, sort of like someone was going to put an apple or an orange in your hands. But instead of an apple or an orange, there's a ball of light in your hands. There's a ball of energy. Now, first of all, does that feel like anything? Maybe it feels like nothing. Maybe you can feel a little friction, a little warmth. You may not feel anything at first, but just stick with it. Some of you might start seeing colors or feelings. It might get heavy. It might get lighter. It might get smaller or bigger. What does it feel like? So now we say to ourselves, dearest God, Creator, Great Spirit, I accept this gift of love that you're giving me today. Just say that to yourself. Put your attention now back on this energy in your hands. Any feeling you're getting from it, any color? Does it feel heavy or light? What does it feel like? I want you to put it right into your heart. Can you feel that? Let's call in your guides and your angels and at least say, if I can't feel it, I intend to receive this gift of energy. We say to ourselves, I receive it in my heart and in my life. Whether we like it or not, our life is a duet between the visible and the invisible. We may think it's all visible and all finite, and if we do, we're usually kind of depressed. So as we embrace the invisible, it takes a little bit of courage, a little bit of stepping forward into an energy. And sometimes the only way we can do that is to feel it. It's not a mental thing. Let's put our hands out in front of our heart one more time. There's another ball of energy in our hands, another ball of light. Now, what do you see? What do you feel? Anything? Can you feel any friction between your hands? Can you feel a warmth? Do you see a color? Now, this is a gift from the universe to you today. It's specific. It could simply be hope or a new direction. It could be better connection to your guidance. It could be prosperity. It could be joy. It could be courage. This gift is completely about you. So I want you to tune in. And is there a message there for you? Is there a feeling, a color, an image? And even move your hands around. Does it get bigger? Does it get smaller? Is there a message there for you? So we say to ourselves, dearest God, Creator, Great Spirit, Holy Spirit, whatever connects you with that great positive light, I accept this gift from you today. So we're accepting that gift from the universe today. Now take a look at that energy in your hands. Has it changed any? Did it get any bigger? Is it the same message? Is it a color? Do you get a feeling from it? What's this gift that you're being given today? I want you to put it right into your heart. We say, I receive it in my heart and in my life. Now let's take a moment to feel our body again, feel our energy. So we've got a couple things going here. We've got our mind with its thoughts. We have our emotion, our heart. But then we've got our soul. We've got our spiritual energy. As we call in our spiritual energy, as we feel it, as we acknowledge it, because it's always with us, we sort of balance out the other two forces in our life. We don't let the mind rule us. We don't let our emotions rule us. We let our spirit come in and create a balance, create a flow. so that we can pass through anything negative very easily and quickly. Now I want you to think about something negative that's been on your mind, something that's upset you. So it could be a fear, it could be a doubt. This could be where you're yelling at God and saying, hey, I don't believe in you at all. You've let me down. It could be where you think, wow, I have really failed. This isn't working out at all. It could be a real fear. It could be doubt, uncertainty, despair. You know what you've been feeling this week or last week. You know what you've been dealing with. I want you to take one of these emotions. So, okay, we all have a million emotions, maybe even a million negative emotions, but just take one because we want to work on it today. This should be a big one. This should be one that's been overwhelming you. This should be one where you've been thinking, wow, this is in my way. This is a stumbling block. I don't know how to get past this. So how do we get past it? Well, we start out by breathing. So again, with that in mind, thinking about what has been upsetting to you, what doesn't seem to be able to be solved, let's breathe. Let's take a deep breath. Another deep, deep breath. Now, the first thing we're going to do is probably the worst thing because we're just going to think about what has been upsetting us. We're going to be with it for about a minute. I want you to think about what's been really upsetting you. Think about the different parts of the problem or the situation that have been really upsetting you or the person, and just sit with it for a moment. Now, easier said than done, but let's give it a shot just for a moment. Okay, good work. See, that was just a minute. It could have been worse. Now, thinking about what upset you, I want you to think about where you felt it in your body. I was upset by something this last week, and I'll tell you, for me, it felt like almost somebody was stepping on my heart. It felt like a pressure on my heart. I felt with it like fear, despair. Okay, I know I'm supposed to be in this business, but I really did feel that way. So this feeling that we're working on right now, where do you feel it in your body? Is it just something in your mind where you feel confused? Do you feel a feeling in your throat like you just can't talk about it? Or maybe it's in the pit of your stomach. You just feel afraid. You might feel heavy. You might feel lost. So I hate to say it, but let's just take another minute and see where you feel it in your body. Maybe more than one place. Now, the idea of divine energy or the invisible world that is so close to us, but we can't see it, is that it's also positive. We do have angels and guides. There is such a thing as the Holy Spirit. There is this force of light, of positiveness that we can call in at any time. Now it's up to us to call it in. Like I said, it's a spiritual practice. We have to practice. We have to choose it. We have to do something. So right now, I want you to imagine that light or that energy, however you see it or feel it. I want you to see it come into that part of your body that was so affected by your emotion. If it's more than one part of your body, just see it flowing through you. You might be comfortable with an idea of golden light. You might see just an energy moving through you. If you have a hard time seeing or feeling anything, again, I want you to put your hand on your pulse. And I want you to understand that the energy's there, whether you see it or not. So let's just take a moment and do that. And you feel the energy or the light going to that part of your body. If there's many places in your body, can you just sort of see it seeping in, illuminating you, creeping in and filling you up? We're calling in the Holy Spirit, the divine energy. We're calling in your guides and your angels to show you how to do this today. So I want you to imagine, if you can, that there's an angel standing in front of you, or maybe a power animal, something that you really trust, a guide, an angel, someone that you love who has passed, who's always there with you. Imagine them standing in front of you. And what I want you to do is I want you to go into your body where that negative emotion lives. And I want you to start pulling it out of your body and giving it to your angel, giving it to your guide, giving it to your loved one. If it's hard to imagine, we're asking your guides and angels to do it for you. You're not going to leave this meditation without it being done. And as you let go of this negative feeling, there may be other negative feelings that come up. So keep giving them away. Keep handing it to the angel that's standing right in front of you. Let's give it a try now. What you're doing is you're handing your emotions to your angel, where you're handing everything that's clogged you up, made you feel really bad, that's been sitting in your body. You're giving it to the angel. If it's someone in your life that has either upset you, attacked you, or you want to help them, ask the angel to send light or help that person. That person is not in your body. The emotion is in your body, and that's what we're letting go of right now. As that heaviness leaves you, what goes into your body is light. Just allow the angel to take out anything from every different part of your body where you feel blocked. Now let's go to your heart. Your heart is usually where a lot of your emotions register. So I want you to see your angel put a big ball of light in your heart. Your heart is now breathing. Your heart is now opening and expanding. You feel safe. Just let that light come into your heart. If there's somebody that's been upsetting you, or if there's something that's been upsetting you, it's outside of your body now. You aren't holding it on to it anymore. In your body is just light, and I want you to sit for a moment in that light. What does it feel like? Now, if it's another person that you've been worrying about, if you want to help them, imagine them right in front of you and imagine the angel filling them with light. We give that over to the light too. And we can say to ourselves, I call in the Holy Spirit, divine energy. I give all my negative emotions to the light now. We see the light all throughout your body, and we also call in your guides and angels to protect you, to create a barrier of light so that these negative emotions from people, things, events around you can't come inside of you. That's your energy field. I want you to feel that right now. Feel that beautiful warm light in your heart that is spread to your entire body now. Let's take a deep breath, another deep breath, and we ask your guides and your angels to protect you in the days and the weeks to come and give you divine discernment so that you can see some negative emotion coming at you. You don't necessarily have to pull it into you. You can leave it outside of you and keep your own balance, your own harmony, your own light within you. Another deep breath. When you feel ready, just open your eyes. Come back to the room and open your eyes. We're going to take a break now of about, say, 8 minutes. Come back at about 8 minutes and let Jim start his part of the class at 5 minutes after the hour. So take a break, get refreshed, and come back for the second part of the class. Thank you.
Okay. Welcome back. Can everybody see me and hear me okay? Good. All right. Thank you. Well, I hope we've all recovered from Abby's meditation. And we're back in our bodies. I told Abby in the break, I said, well, I gotta wait till everybody comes back in their bodies and talk about something for a while. But anyway, this is like one of the most important topics there is right now, based on all the stuff that's going on in the world and all of the healing and transformation that we're all going through collectively as human beings. And we're here to heal human consciousness. We're not just here for our own journeys. We're also here for a bigger journey that we decided to come to Earth to be a part of. So, when the first question I was told to ask in this class is, why should I strengthen my connection to the light within me? What's the benefit of it, right? I mean, Abby and I, we work with people, and some people get miraculous results even though we've never met them, and other people are harder to work with. And the difference is some are more open to that connection to the light than others. And when you connect to the light, when you like in scripture, one of the things it talks about is you must dwell in the place of the Most High, which basically means you need to stay connected to the light. Okay. Because that light is your higher self, and it's way above what your human mind can comprehend. Okay. It's made to lead you. It's your connection, and it's with you to be able to lead you, guide you, direct you, protect you, and help you to carry out on Earth what you're here to do. And at the same time, heal yourself and evolve. But that can only happen with this connection. In school, they teach you how to read, how to write, how to, do math and about history and everything else. But they really don't teach you how to work with emotions and how to connect to your higher self, which is extremely important. Okay. That's where your power lies. That's where your true power lies. When I was studying mysticism, they always taught that the characteristics of divine light were omnipresent, meaning it's everywhere, omniscient, meaning it's all-knowing, and omnipotent, meaning it's all-powerful. But it's only those things when it's brought to the situation, right? So as we connect with light and we strengthen our connection to light, we naturally bring its resources with us to meet our challenges, meaning that's our connection to our guidance. That's our connection to an energy that heals. And just by bringing light to situations and being connected, we can automatically dissolve things in that environment that aren't of light. And we don't even have to know we're doing it. It just happens. It just starts to calm the area down. And I work with people who have confirmed that, the other day I was in a store and these people were fighting and I just stood there and I was present, and within about a minute or two there was harmony. Okay. And hopefully that person will share when it comes time to share. But the reality is that you don't have to say anything. You just have to be. And if you notice that meditation that we just had with Abby, when you brought what you wanted, what were asked to bring into the meditation, and just be with it for a minute, not trying to do anything about it, not trying to analyze it, just be with it. And at the same time, the light was being with you while you're being with it. That's the gateway. And with that gateway comes natural healing. How many people noticed that you felt differently after just bringing that into the light and not trying to do anything about it, just asking for the help of the light to transmute it? Okay. That's why it's important to strengthen your connection to the light, because it knows how to heal without you taking thought. It knows how to heal without you doing anything except for allowing it. And anything that's rocking your world or anything that's causing you pain and suffering is really based on misperceiving something. Okay. And that's not to blame you and say, well, you're wrong and you're misperceiving. It's to say that you were born into a world to where there was already preconceived belief systems that were negative, that created suffering. And when we do things that hurt ourselves or hurt others, we're always doing them from a place to where we're not perceiving something correctly, right? Or someone else wasn't perceiving something correctly and they projected that onto us and blamed us for it. And then we took it on, and now all of a sudden we're not good enough. Okay. But the reality is, it's based on human consciousness, not divine light. Okay. In the light, there is only peace, there is only love, there is only joy, and there is only truth. There's pure perfection. Okay. One day I was meditating, Abby and I were meditating, we do every morning. And when I work with people, I'll bring them in remotely and I'll work with them like for a couple of days after I work with them. And just to make sure that things continue to clear. And all I'm doing is holding light. I'm just keeping that connection active. And I'm asking the light to continue to heal that part of them that needs healing. And so on this particular day, I brought this girl in, and she came in and she had all of this like weird looking energy in her second chakra area. And I knew her history, and I knew that wasn't light. There was anger, there was fear, there was frustration based on traumatic events from her past that she didn't know how to heal. Okay. She just, when you're born into this world, there's some drama. And our connection with the light is our method of healing that drama. Okay. But we've got to stay connected. We've got to trust in it. And so I was looking at her, and I was just kind of like, well, what is this? And I kind of was shown that it was anger and frustration. And I said, well, what do I do about it? Right? I mean, I was just talking to myself, kind of contemplating. And this divine being came in next to her that was complete crystal energy, completely white light. And I just kind of looked at her and I said, wow, like, who are you? And she said, what do you want to call me? And I said, I don't know. And she goes, call me the Divine Mother. And I just remember looking at her energy field and knowing that there was only love and joy there. There was no judgment. There was no anger. There was no frustration. There was nothing. And I was like, this is pure. This is like as pure as it is. And I was puzzled how she dealt with the things of this world and stayed in that light, stayed that pure. And I asked her, I said, well, what should I do with this girl? And she said, let me help. And she just put herself in the girl's second chakra. And I watched all of that dark energy just dissolve and start to transmute because the girl was open to it and the light was present. And that's the reason why you want to strengthen the connection with your light. Your light is the same joy and love and peace that that divine mother represents. And all it wants is for you to live that way, right? It doesn't want you to suffer. It doesn't want you to be in pain. It wants you to release all these things. And at the same time, it wants to heal and correct your perceptions, thoughts that you believed that are creating the suffering and the pain. But you can't do it from the level of your mind. I remember one time I was Abbi and I had done this event in Idlewild, and I was afterwards, all the energy was pushing all this stuff out of us that we were clearing. And I remember like old anger came up, and I was like talking to the guides about it. I was like, hey, I feel angry. And they said, who's the you that feels angry? And I kind of just took a moment to look at it, and I realized that it was like a child who was told something that made me believe at that time I wasn't good enough. And I believed it, and I was angry with myself for not being good enough to receive love. And then they said, are you ready to let this go? Kind of like Abby's meditation. Are you ready to let this go? I said, yes. And that was all I had to do. Okay. We can't heal it, but we can allow it to come up. And then we can connect to that light within us that we're all one with it all the time. No matter where we are, we're connected to it. And it's always with us. It's always listening. And it's always waiting for that invitation to come in and help. So, one time I was at a Yogananda center. I used to go there almost every Sunday. And I would just go I don't know if anybody's gone to Yogananda centers, but at the beginning of their sermon, there's always a silent meditation for an hour. And the energy in the room is really powerful, right? All these saints are there, and there's a lot of healing that goes on, and it's free. So I was like, okay, I'll go. So I would go on Sunday and I would meditate. And then right after meditation, I would leave and I would go get my kids donuts and go home. I would never stay for the sermon, right? And one day I'm meditating and the sermon ends. And my guide said, stay for the meditation ended. My guide said, stay for the sermon. And I said, why? I was thinking about donuts. And they said, just do it. So I was like, okay. And, I was thinking I'd probably heard everything that there was to hear at that time. And so the guy comes out and he says, yeah, I have a simple message today. I said, okay, simple message. And I was completely listening. And he said, I just want you to know that divine presence is within you, and it hears every thought you have. It's always just waiting for an invitation for you to invite it in. But it knows everything about you. It knows everything that you do. It knows everything that you think. It knows everything that you believe. And it wants to help you. And all you have to do is invite it in. And that was really the gist of the sermon, but it made me realize that all I have to do is start paying attention to it more. And that's inviting it in, right? So going back to dwell in the place of the Most High, it means keep your mind stayed on the light within you. Whatever happens in your life, whatever you're facing, take a moment to bring light with you. Right? If you're going into a volatile situation, call in the light, call in your guides and angels. I call in the Divine Mother. Please go before me and surround this room with light and protect everyone in it from hurting themselves or hurting each other. And lead us, guide us, direct us, and protect us, and help us resolve this. And then I just be still. And when I feel that the presence is there, I go into the meeting, right? And it works. It works really well. But the message is when you strengthen your connection to the light, you're never alone. And when you're never alone, you never have to carry the burden. You're co-creating. And when you co-create, when you bring the light in and you ask the light to help you, you're no longer stuck in the resources of the human mind. You have infinite wisdom at your fingertips, and you have infinite power that you can't even be aware of. You couldn't understand it if you wanted to. Okay, but it's within you and it's with you. And you might notice that it'll put you in a place of peace, and it might quiet your mind. And then you might hear guidance come. Where's it coming from? Right? You know, another thing they teach in scripture is take no thought for your life. Okay. And I remember learning that. I was like, what's that mean? You know, I run a big company. How can I take no thought? And I don't know if one of the things I wanted to touch on today was contemplation. Okay. When you're connecting and strengthening your connection with the divine, one of the most natural tools that we can use is just to contemplate with the divine. Contemplation means ask questions to it, right? When you don't understand something, tell the divine, I don't understand this. Please help me understand it. And you don't have to like beg and try to force it, just calmly. It's always listening. You don't have to yell at it, right? It's like, I don't understand this. Please help me understand this. Please shift my perception so that I understand it the way you understand it. And you get a healing. That's all a healing is a shift of perception, right? So, you know, I noticed like when I didn't understand what it meant by take no thought for your life, I contemplated it for like a month. So every time I kind of thought about that question, I would just say, I still don't understand what this means. Please help me understand what this means. And I would just let it go. I wouldn't think, because when you're thinking in your mind, you're blocking yourself from receiving from the light. So you ask, and then you're quiet and you receive. So you have this relationship with the divine, right? And the divine's perfect. It's perfect. It's like the best parent you can imagine, because it only loves you and it only wants you to heal, and it wants you to succeed. It never punishes. I mean, what better parent can you have, right? So anyway, I'd asked that question. I asked that question. And one day I walked into my company, and one of the things that I really didn't like was that, you know, I had about 60 employees, and there was always kind of a line of people waiting to see me when I got there in the morning. And and they had problems they wanted me to help them with. And so I walked in one time, and one of my employees shows up. He's like, boss, I got a problem. And I'm thinking to myself, surprise, right? And all of a sudden I feel like I'm carrying this burden that I have to solve this problem. And he tells me what the problem is. And all of a sudden I hear the answer. I hear a voice tell me, tell him this. So I told him this. And then I had another idea that followed that seemed like mine, but it came without me thinking about it. And I told him that. And it all flowed without me thinking. I was just kind of channeling it. And they said, this is what it means by take no thought. It means you're connected to light, and the light naturally guides you. People always ask Abby and I, how do we connect with our guides? Stay connected to the light. Okay. And the way you stay connected to the light is you know that the light's already present and you just need to focus on it. Okay. You don't have to try to figure it out. You don't have to be good enough for it. You already are, right? Another conversation I had with the Divine Mother. I was working with somebody and they were very upset with God because they wanted something in their life and God wasn't giving it to them. And so I asked the Divine Mother, I said, how can you stay so loving and so joyful and so kind when people are projecting anger and hate and frustration onto you? And they're trying to bully you into giving them what they want. And she said, that's simple. I realize they're in a wound and I look through it. I look at their essence and I just shift their perceptions until they're in their essence. I heal the perceptions, right? And, it's like, okay, I get it. So from the point of the light within you, it knows your essence, which is love and joy and peace. And it also knows when you're in a wound. And the way you can tell when you're in a wound is when you have negative emotions going on. It means at some level, I'm misperceiving something. And I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying that it's something that needs to be healed. Okay. Because most of the things we misperceive, we took on from someone else. Okay. We weren't born with them. So anyway, but the strengthening your connection to the light means bring it with you as your partner each day. And everything you face, let it take the lead. Give it a minute just to sort things out for you. Right? So I remember one day I was facing something to where there was going to be conflict and I had fear of it. And so I just asked the divine, I said, I offer you this fear of conflict. I was honest. I didn't lie that I had a fear of conflict. I said, I feel fear of conflict. And fear of conflict has many things underneath of it. And I just said, I offer you this fear of conflict. Please help me to heal it. And please help me to face this situation with peace and love in my heart. And I didn't think about it. I did something else. I got distracted. And when the situation came and I went to face it, I didn't even think of it as conflict. I was in complete peace. The right thoughts were flowing through me. The energy was beautiful. The person that I was dealing with was in complete peace. And we both spoke our truths and it worked out just perfectly, right? But that's the benefit of bringing light in first, right? When both people are connected to light, there's going to be harmony. There's going to be peace. Okay. If someone won't connect to the light, then the best thing to do is to send light to them and just ask the light to protect them. But don't hold expectations that they have to be what you want them to be, because we don't have that right. We have to respect the laws of the world, which one is free will, meaning that we can choose what we want, but we can't choose what other people should be. Okay. So, I want to talk another story about connecting to light, because I was working with someone the other day and they're like, well, I want to do this myself. Right. It was more of a remote thing, but I don't want your help. I want to do this myself. And I was like, okay, but I'm not helping you. I'm just bringing light to it. Oh, right. But, one day, Abby and I were meditating. It's another meditation thing. And we brought in these guides that we both share. And the only thing that happened in that meditation for me was the guides told me, you'll bring an energy to the world that you'll never understand, but it will heal and help people. And I was like, okay, and that was the whole message I got. And I was like, again, I started contemplating, what's that mean? How do I know that when it's going to happen? What's it mean? Right. And I was just told, you'll know it when it happens. And so later on, I was talking to one of my friends who's very spiritually, he has a lot of spiritual sight. And I asked him about these guides. I said, are they for real? And he said, yeah, they're for real. And he says, they come from the 8th or 9th dimension. And you'll never understand them with your mind. Because the humanity, like their top dimension right now is like 4th dimension. Right? So this is like 8th and 9th dimension. It's way past what we can comprehend in human consciousness, but it doesn't mean it can't help. Right? And that's really what your connection to the light is. It's a connection like the Holy Spirit, right? I've always understood the Holy Spirit as an essence, a consciousness that's a bridge between this world's consciousness and pure light. And it knows how to shift things and heal things. Our role as human beings is to offer everything to it and ask it to heal it instead of trying to be good enough for it to like us. You know what I mean? A lot of people teach, if once you're worthy, then God will step in. No, it's not how it works. Once you know that God loves you and is always with you and is always open to helping you, and all you have to do is choose to bring it in and allow, that's all that's required, right? And by the way, it wants as many beings as it possibly can use on earth right now to help with this transformation. So everybody's worthy. Okay? Everybody's worthy and everybody's good enough. It's just a matter of making the connection and allowing it to take the lead. Okay. So let me see what else I was going to talk about. One thing that I wrote down was, when we're in an emotional wound, any of us, okay, if you ever are in an emotional wound, ask yourself, who's the I that, like, let's say you're feeling unloved. Who's the I that feels unloved? And then just be still and see what shows up. Okay. And I've done this a lot with different wounds. If I'm angry, who's the I that's angry? Okay. If I'm frustrated, who's the I that's frustrated? And what I realize is when you sit with it, you'll go back to an experience in your life where you were really upset, if you were upset, right? If you're upset or you're angry, who's the I that's angry? Like after that meditation, I went back to my childhood and I saw myself being rejected because I wasn't good enough. And I was really pissed off about it. Okay. But that isn't who I am. That was a state of my emotional and mental consciousness and the consciousness of that group. Okay. It wasn't it wasn't an entity, it was a memory. And in that memory, there were some perceptions that needed healing. And the perceptions are what created the suffering. Okay. The Divine Mother, one of the things she says is, when you're awakened, it's impossible for you to suffer. When you see things rightly, you will not suffer. No matter what's going on in your world, if you're awake, you won't suffer and you won't be afraid. Okay. So Rumi says, suffering is the door to enlightenment. Okay. And if you look at that, it's like, okay, when we suffer, it's a signal that something in us needs to be healed. And if we can be with that suffering, if we can learn how to be with that suffering without judging ourselves as being it, and without trying to force it away, and without trying to change the outside world so we don't have to feel it, if we can just be with it and ask the divine within us to take charge and help us heal it, it'll start to unravel and it'll start to heal. And you won't have to take thought about it. You'll just start to see things differently. You'll start to feel differently. And if it's something like if you're in a relationship and it's a bad relationship, it'll dissolve. If it's a relationship where there's suffering going on to help each other heal, you'll both will heal. Okay. But let the light be the judge and the consciousness that directs it, because it knows far more than we know. Okay. And that's why we want to bring it with us. Okay. In the morning, I always say a prayer, and you're welcome. Anybody that wants any prayers that I say, because to me, prayer is nothing but communication with the light, right? It's a personal communication to the light, period. That's all it means. But it's your partner. It's not something, it's something that you work with, right? And it's a consciousness that you work with. And so I say the prayer that I offer you this day, every second of the day, along with all the results, giving permission for the divine to go before me today, right? The light to go before me. Please bring me those you can help me through and bless me through. And when I say that, I'm not only talking about in this world, bring the people of light to help me and bless me. I'm also talking about in the spiritual realms. Bring me the spiritual healers and guides that can help me and bless me today. And then I say, bring me those that you can help and bless me through today. And be the light, the consciousness, the love, and the truth operating in, on, and throughout my being. I'm giving full surrender to light to be in charge. And that's it. And it's important for us to do that. Okay. And you can do it again before you go to bed and say, please heal me tonight while I sleep. Please continue to heal and transform my consciousness while I sleep tonight, and help me to release anything that no longer serves me while I'm asleep. And it works. We should teach a class just on that, because when you're asleep, the ego's out of the way, as is all resistance. Okay, it works. Okay. So I don't think I got to much of what I wrote down, but we're going to go into meditation. Okay. And I just want to do a meditation to really strengthen the connection to the light within you. And something that you can watch again and again and strengthen it more and more and more. Okay. So if you're ready, just close your eyes. And take a deep breath. Bring yourself to the present moment. And just be aware of how your body feels. You can be aware of the thoughts going through your mind. But just position yourself as the one being aware. And you're aware that you have a body. And you're aware that you have a mind. And these are just instruments that you use in this lifetime on earth. It's not your essence. Your essence is this awareness, this life. in your spirit. Your life is spiritual. Your essence is spiritual. More truthfully, your essence is love, is joy, is ageless, is peace. It's all knowing. And it's protected from this world and anything that happens in this world. It doesn't touch your essence. Now I want you to call in the divine presence, the divine mother, the Holy Spirit, whatever name you have for the Creator, that pure light that you're one with all the time. I want you to call that light in, that consciousness, and just open yourself now and allow it to fill you. And as you breathe, just allow this light to continue to fill you and strengthen its connection with you. Make itself known. And many of you might be feeling warmth or a spiritual presence or a tingling or seeing light. And once you feel that, just acknowledge that connection's been made. I am one with the divine. And then recognize that all that the divine has is yours through this connection. All of its wisdom, all of its power, all of its protection, all of its supply, all of its love. This connection brings everything with it. Now ask this presence to give you what you need now for your highest good. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And then just allow it to go through. And bring its light to all those areas. Bring its consciousness. Bring its blessings. And ask it to fill you more and more fully with pure light. And then just let go and allow it to fill you. Now I want you to think of something that you've been stuck with. Someplace in your life where you've been stuck. And you feel stuck emotionally and mentally. And I want you just to bring that into your awareness. Then I want you to turn to this light, this consciousness, and just offer it to the light and ask for help. Ask for the light to help you each and every step of the way to bring healing and resolution to this problem. But let the light take the lead. Let go of the expectations of how you think it should be. And just allow the light to take it from you. And invite the light to help you every step of the way until this situation is completely healed and transformed for your best and highest good. If any emotions come up about it, offer those to the light. And ask the light to take the motion out of you. And heal any thoughts, perceptions, memories, judgments, or expectations that are associated with emotions. And then just be still and allow the light to do the healing, to do the transformations. to heal your consciousness. And I just want you to see that situation encased in light with a big light ball all around it and light permeating through all of it. And just give the light permission to permeate through all of it. And you can ask the light to help you understand it, to bring right understanding, right thought, right perception. And once that light is completely infused into this situation, then just trust it and give it permission to continue to help you with it until it's completely healed. And give it permission to heal it in a way that's best for your highest good. And then just bring that situation into your heart with all the light. And allow it to continue to heal. Allow the light to continue to guide you every step of the way until this is completely healed. Now, if any of you have anything challenging coming up in the near future that you've been preoccupied with, let's marinate it in light for a bit. Again, call on this light. And just allow this light to come out and fill a big ball right in front of you. This divine consciousness that only wants healing for you, wants you to live in joy, wants you to live in love, wants you to live in peace. Just bring whatever situation that you've got coming up that you want help with into this ball of light. And if the situation involves other people, bring them into the ball of light too. And you might tell the light, tell the divine what you want to have happen. Ask for what you want in this situation. And ask the light to start working on this now and start healing everybody involved with it, guiding everybody involved with it to bring about what you really want and what you really need in this situation. And let's also let this light lift out of you and remove any obstacles that are blocking its path, that's blocking its will, that's blocking the blessings for your best and highest good from being manifested. Again, just give this light permission to remove any obstacles. And to infuse this event with light, with divine guidance, with protection, with the resources that are needed. And just let the light marinate in it. And ask the light to give you what you're going to need for you to receive what's best for your highest good in this situation. And to help you each and every step of the way. And while this connection to this light is active, let's also ask the light to be with us tonight while we sleep and to help us to heal anything within us, anything active within us that's causing us pain or suffering, and to release from us anything that no longer serves us emotionally or mentally or physically. And maybe even wake us up in the middle of the night if we need, with clear guidance to help us to meet a problem, or clear solutions that we need to navigate our challenges in life. But let's ask the light to be with us while we sleep and give it permission to heal us mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And in all ways, to awaken us Now, as you breathe, when you breathe in, just fill yourself with this light. Fill your heart with it. And you can bring it to any parts of your body that you feel need light. And know that this consciousness that you're connected to knows how to heal your body, your thoughts, your emotions, your past. And whatever you want help with, just ask it for help. Make the connection, ask for what you want, and then be open and receive. And practice that. Practice just calling it in and feel its presence. And then know you're one with it. And all that it has is your resources at that time, too. It's there to help. It's also to help you, there to help you bring your gifts to the world. But it starts with the connection. And the gifts flow through the connection. So ask for this connection to become stronger in you and more consistent and easier to make. And then just bring this light into your heart and know that that's where it is. It's not out there somewhere, it's within you. And by bringing your attention to it, you bring it to life. So just give some thanks to this light, to this energy, to this consciousness. And keep asking it for help. Whatever you want, ask it for. And then allow. How does it feel just to sit with this connection? Do you feel safe? Do you feel protected? Do you feel like you have help? Do you feel alone? Use this connection to create the life that you want. and to heal yourself. Now just take another deep breath. And then just open your eyes and come back to your rooms. But bring this light with you. Okay. So I brought Abby in, and
Hi.
we're back. And we just wanted to talk about if you guys had any questions or insights or comments. Anybody that has questions or wants to share anything, you can either raise your Zoom hand or your real hand or just unmute yourself, because I think you're able to unmute yourselves. And if you can't unmute yourself, then raise your hand or your Zoom hand.
Well, Eddie has a question here. Can I repeat Eddie's question?
Sure.
The guy who was angry that God didn't give him what he wanted, how did he heal? Was it a perception change?
Yeah. I'm not sure which guy he's talking about. Are you talking about the guy after the event?
I don't know. And then the next thing is, what did he actually want? It's a good question.
Yeah. Eddie, it starts.
Yes, it was from the event that was that you discussed. Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Well, when anger came up in me after that event, I realized that it was bringing up also a perception that I wasn't good enough. And I offered the anger to the divine, and I offered that perception to the divine, and I asked the divine to heal both and to take out the anger, right? Whenever I have negative emotions come up, I immediately turn to the divine. I offer it to the divine, and I ask the divine, please take this out of me, because I know it's not my essence. And please heal the thoughts and the perceptions that are still active in me associated with it. Okay. And then I let go. I don't have to think anymore. I've asked, now I'm open. And sometimes you have to do that, Eddie, once, and sometimes you have to do that for a month or two. But you'll start to see things differently, and your perceptions will start to heal.
Okay, I'm gonna use audio for a second. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think you were talking about some other guy. You said, oh, he's angry that God didn't grant his wishes or whatnot.
Oh, that was a girl. Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Okay, so
Yeah. Yeah. That was a girl. And what that session taught me a lot about was that when we're not getting what we want, we try to force God with anger and frustration and bully type energy. And we start to hate God, and we start to do this instead of just listening to God and saying, okay, why aren't you answering this? Right. And in this particular girl's case, what she wanted, she wasn't prepared for yet. Right. And if she would have gotten what she wanted without being prepared for it, it would have been a disaster. Okay. So intuitively, I was being shown what she needed help with before she could get that. But really what we worked on in that session was, is it okay to let go of your anger towards God and towards that your life isn't how you want it to be? Because your life is perfectly outlined based on your lessons, right? And it's just like school. we go through school and we learn like basic arithmetic, and then we learn this and we learn that. And then eventually we get up to like trigonometry and calculus and stuff like that. But if you didn't take the time to learn the arithmetic, you could never jump to what you wanted to learn. So there's like an evolution of consciousness that happens, and your divine team knows exactly what you need. Okay. So if you find yourself angry because God's not giving you what you want, ask God to help you understand why it's giving you what it's giving you. What's my lesson here? Okay. And when you understand your lesson, you will be at peace, and you will be grateful for your lesson because it's your soul that wants the lesson. Does that make sense? So like I was in my life, I was really afraid of conflict and making mistakes and being punished. And I kept getting these lessons where I had to face that. And one day I was like, I'm done with this, God. Why do you keep giving me these lessons? And they said, we want to teach you to be impeccable with your word. And I realized immediately I wanted that lesson, and I quit resisting it, right? So ask for understanding, Eddie. If you're frustrated because things aren't the way you want them, ask the Divine Mother to help you to understand it. Because when she gives you understanding, she's going to correct your perceptions at the same time. Does that make sense? Don't try to figure it out with your mind. Ask for it to come. Okay? And when it comes, you'll automatically think differently and you won't know why. That's like a very high form of guidance. Okay? Did that answer your question? Awesome. Okay, now I'm going to unmute Ollie. Hey, Ollie, are you there?
I am. Hi, Jim. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Hi, Abby.
Hi.
Jim, my question was, at one point you mentioned, if I get the exact wording wrong, forgive me, but if you want to um, increase your connection to the light, don't worry, it's already in you. Focus on
Correct. Dwell on
it. So the focus on it part is challenging for me, and I don't know any other people who are still trying to actually feel that within them. No different than asking me to focus on my spinal fluid, if you will, or my red blood cells.
Okay.
So I don't know if you have any advice or a different way to say that might make it more tangible for me.
Well, okay. So the first thing I would do if I were you, Ollie, is I would ask, no matter whether you feel the divine or not, when you direct yourself towards it, it's there. Okay. Not everybody feels it. And not everybody, some people see things, some people hear things, but just trust that the connection's there when you turn to it. Okay. And some of the things I would start asking if I were you, like specifically before you go to bed, is please remove any obstacles that's blocking me from knowing you and having a better connection with you. And then just go to sleep. Okay. The other thing you could do is start meditating with people that are way more connected. I mean, they have a strong connection. Okay. One of the guys that I studied, his name was Joe Goldsmith. He was a mystic, and he used to go to prisons and meditate with murderers. Okay. And he was a healer, and he would just ask the divine to awaken them and enlighten them. And he said, every person that received the light and received that awakening and that enlightenment or awakening, they were all either released out of prison, no matter what their charge was, because they would never hurt anybody anymore. The part of them that was hurting people, the wounded part, was healed. And once that's healed, it's impossible for it to have any power. Okay, it was gone. And so they were healed, or they were put to work in the prison to help heal others. But they no longer had suffering, regardless. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing, Ollie, is you're an engineer. Okay. I hope you don't mind I pointed that out.
That's okay.
My dad's an engineer. Eddie's got kind of an engineer type mind. I have that kind of mind. So for me to get out of my head and try to stop making it logical and figure it out was my hardest challenge. Okay. Because like I said today, the light that we're bringing in is way more complex than we could ever comprehend. So why even bother? Right? I mean, it's like, it's like we don't understand electricity, but we turn on the light, right? And so just keep, what I would do with you, Ollie, is just make a strong commitment that everything you do, every challenge that you face, things that you do, even things that really don't matter, just call in your divine team and ask them to be present and help you in it. And then just go about your day. Okay. And that will strengthen the connection.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Can I answer also?
Please.
Okay. So Ali, the exercise that I was leading where you think about all the things that were good in the last couple of weeks where you felt love or happiness or joy.
Hmm.
So how does that exercise go with you?
Oh, it was a good one.
Okay. I would recommend that because you're sort of going from thinking to feeling.
Hmm.
And I would say anything that really involves feeling, although I know your emotions are strong, you're in a lot of happy relationships, but just the focus on the happiness and the joy and sort of condensing it for a moment and really thinking about it and being in it, I think that really helps because it shifts you over out of your mind. Another
Okay.
thing I would really recommend, I don't know, do you like music?
Yes.
Okay. I would recommend a little bit more music. I know that sounds silly, but once again, it gets you out of your mind. It's putting you over into a different place, which I think is what you're talking about. That like, how do I get out of my mind? How do I get even this feeling that you're talking about? Is that right?
I'm actually pretty okay getting out of my mind. And Jim, I've kind of left the trying to think my way through it in the past. But just because that happens doesn't mean that the feeling and finding of that connection is instantaneous. It still hasn't materialized as I guess powerfully as I'd like to see or feel, or at least to know for sure.
In my opinion, the one really good avenue towards that is through your heart.
Okay.
So I would say, connect with your heart more, even maybe on a daily or weekly level to really think about some, think is the wrong word, to really feel some of those feelings and just see where they go, how you feel it in your body. Just keep exploring that. And at the same time, mentally just say, I call in my angels and my guides, and I call in my connection, and just
Mhm.
see where it goes. I don't know. What do you think, Jim?
Yeah, I think that it's kind of like a lot of the times, Ollie, when I get guidance, I wasn't thinking about anything. It just comes in, which means that, there's always an open invitation for it. And I don't necessarily feel the connection at that point. I just know that I'm receiving, like for this class, like, 3 or 4 days ago, I was swimming laps and I was getting information about this class while I was swimming. And I wasn't thinking, it was just coming in. And so, sometimes, just paying attention to, one thing the Divine Mother says is, like, if you want my help, just ask me for it. But just be like matter of fact, like don't really work hard at it, right? Don't like
Mhm.
get stressed out about, I really need this connection, right? It blocks it because you're in a place of frustration at that point. So it's just really light, kind of like, all right, I need some help with this. Okay. Like with me, when I was contemplating, I don't understand what it means to take no thought. I was just like, what's this mean? I don't understand it. How can I run this business without taking thought? And it just came in an experience to where I understood it. And I was like, oh, I get it. And then as I started working with people, I realized that I would bring in the light at the beginning, and it would show me what was needed to be shown and tell me what was needed to be said. And I wasn't thinking. It just,
Also,
it's almost like channeling it.
but I think on the way to channeling, you can adopt some things, like a walk on the beach or listening to music or, walking with your dog, things where you're just opening up a space and not expecting very much. You know what I mean? Because I
Mhm.
think with channeling or with calling the light, sometimes we have big expectations. And I also think the moments when we do feel guidance or we do feel communication can be very random. Like I look back at a time before I thought I was actively connecting with my guides, but I was still getting inspirations. I was still taking a walk on the beach and suddenly getting a great idea, or I would feel something very strongly that was positive. So I think it's more a big range of things that you get sensitive to, and also not sort of expecting too much from yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. And Heidi has just made a great comment. Sometimes when I struggle to see the light, I lift my head up to the light bulb or the sun outside with my eyes closed. I can see light and it's easier to feel. Not sure if this is right, but it seems to work for me. And I would agree with her. That's a great idea because really we're using anything we have to just connect, just like Jim was saying. So even if you feel like an idiot, sometimes it doesn't matter if you think you're doing it right or not. Just keep opening up on that level. I think that's a very good idea. Even to the point if you feel, sometimes you can feel really, really blocked, like if things are bad in your life or you get a setback and you think, oh my God, I just can't even connect. At that point, you can just say to yourself, I asked to connect to the light, like even if you're just saying it to yourself without even like a hope in hell, so to speak, that you will connect. I think just even saying that, like Jim says, it starts the pathway opening and connecting. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another way I connect if I don't want to do anything is I just pay attention to my breathing. Because when you're in the present moment, you're automatically connected when you're present. And breath only happens now. It doesn't happen in the future, right? So paying attention to your breath and stuff brings you back to the present moment. And, and then really learning to trust that the light has your back. It's not gonna, a lot of times in this world, we're always on guard. We're always, not trusting people. And the light is one person you can trust. It will never hurt you. Okay. And the more you realize that, the more you can just open and allow it. Okay. And that's when healing really starts to speed up.
Also, Ali, I think Jim made a really good point, which is that we struggle for this connection, this thing outside of us. But as Jim said, it's within. So all we're really doing is clearing our perception to feel something that's already there inside of us. So that's a little bit easier. It's not like we lost it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's not
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I've got to create this because it's not here at all. And how do I build this bridge? It's more like Jim says, it's right there in your heart. And as we kind of relax, we just start feeling it more and more.
Yeah, I that's kind of why the question came in the first place, because Jim had mentioned, focus on that inside of you.
Right,
And I
right,
was just saying, for
exactly.
me, that's a little bit challenging sometimes to find where to focus. But I appreciate the tips. I'll definitely incorporate some of those.
All right, Ollie. Yeah, yeah. When you I learned like contemplation, and I realized that when I'm contemplating, what I'm really doing is asking my higher self for understanding. And that higher self is the light, right? So it's not, I can be anywhere, and all I have to do is be honest with myself and say, I don't understand this, instead of trying to make believe I do. And by saying I don't understand it, I get a healing. If I make pretend I do, then I get nothing, right? So we're all here to evolve. So, if you're, like our last class, if you guys have watched it, was all about like how to be an empath and how to use those skills of feeling your emotions as a way to heal yourself and as a way of awareness, right? As an intelligence. And it really is. And once you get past that, some things feel good and some things don't feel so good, right? You can realize that if you walk in a room and it feels really crappy in there and everybody's arguing, it may not be the place you want to be, right? It's like rise above it, right? How do you rise above it? You connect to the light, and then maybe you're guided to re-enter the room, but with light, it will start to heal the energy in the room.
Okay,
Right?
thank you guys.
You're welcome.
No,
Thanks,
thanks,
Ollie.
Ollie.
Yeah,
Anyone
and
else with questions or comments?
I may email you as well, Ollie. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, it was great to see everybody today. Thank you so much for sharing this. Our next class will be December 15th, and I'll send you all out the notice for it ahead of time. If I don't have your email address, if you're just joining us for the first time today and you're interested, please go to our website, www.infinitelight.me, and just leave us your email so we can contact you again. Our YouTube channel you can get to by Infinite Light LLC, and there's going to be this class as well as all the other classes for free on that YouTube channel.
Look at the dog. Cute dog.
Very cute. Adorable.
Yeah. And again, if you guys want any information on Maui, which we're planning on soon, having a retreat in Maui
And
and
Sedona, definitely.
Sedona, or if you have a group of people wherever you're at, that it will save you some travel time for us to go there, we can. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. See you next time.